Tough questions, new insights, diverse perspectives. Welcome to Questions of the Day with Fanuel Muindi.
Hello and welcome to Questions of the Day. Now, if you missed it, India became the first country to land a spacecraft on the southern pole of the moon. And so this, of course, is not just a triumph for space exploration, but for us here at SciTV, it allows us to ask interesting questions around the connection between science and society. Because whilst everybody had their sights and sounds looking at whether India is going to land the actual spacecraft, what we were watching were the people and their reactions, both leading up to and right after the vehicle touched down on the lunar surface. Because civic science, really, at the heart of it, is about the connections between science and society. And so now they're just a birth of questions that one wonders, right? Now, before I share what those are, let's take a look at the people.
To the moon's surface.
The excitement, the euphoria, the enthusiasm in the national capital is high, and you can see hundreds of school students who've gathered here at the India Gate to witness this historic day when India will be making history with the soft landing of Chandrayaan-3 on the surface of the moon.
This is huge space news. India became the first country to have a controlled landing on the south pole of the moon. They landed a lander and a rover. The south pole of the moon is huge for science.
This accelerate, right? Or better yet, how will this impact the activities around strengthening the connections between science and society, right? The civic science landscape, that's already in place in India. One can hypothesize that this will perhaps provide a stimulus of some sort to those endeavors. And in fact, what are the endeavors, right? And how will they be impacted by the landing? Is it more funding? Is it more engagement? We don't know yet, right? But that's something that we are thinking about here. And what lessons do you draw from the success of the landing? As you saw on the videos, there are people across all dimensions that were glued and fixated on this event. Now, the space sciences tend to have that attraction, if you will, right? Whether it's the moon landings, whether it's even now the work with SpaceX and other space agencies. Can this be sustained, right? What happens in the longer term, beyond this one event? And how does it affect the different groups of people across the country? I think that's an interesting question to think about. And the ecosystem that is in place, I mentioned earlier, the civic science ecosystem, it will be interesting to look at that and see how it evolves over time. We are hopeful that we'll have some of those journalists that have been covering this right here to talk about this event and what it means maybe even some of the scientists that can talk about that, and leaders of civic science initiatives. You saw the videos of these classrooms, of these settings where mass amounts of people had convened to watch. That does not happen in a vacuum. It takes effort, it takes time to plan and coordinate. So I think hearing from those people on the ground and how they plan to continue the effort. So it's not a one-time kind of event, but something that you can continue and use the momentum that has been generated by the landing to continue to strengthen these connections between science and society, both within India and also outside India. So with that, I will leave you and say stay tuned for this developing story.